مساء الخير للحضور كلهم. وشرف لنا انه نكون الليله هنا representing the Institute of Architects, the newly established Institute of Architects. وجودنا هنا الليله is very important because we want to join the ranks in the debate in regard to our national identity and how that can be approached through architecture. So. Because of the type of audience, we will try to use both languages at some instance in order to expand the interactions and understanding. So this evening session will be having 4 components. Component number 1 will be an overview of architecture and identity. It will be addressing the question of who, what, and how. The other component will be some semantic discourses in debating architecture and identity, to address the question of identity and architecture, and this will be having a number of components. First of all will be approaching architecture as a semantic discipline. The second will be embodiment of power. The third will be embodiment of political ideologies. The third will be post-colonial context of architecture and identity. The third component of this evening's presentation will be answering this question: the possibility of an authentic architectural identity of South Sudan. So we'll try to address this question, try to approach it in the third component of this evening presentation. The first will be a way forward. How, as South Sudanese Institute of Architects, concerns architects, how do we see the future? Thank you. In the beginning, architects need to play a direct role in policy making in any and every community. Once a decision has been made and handed to an architect, it will be too late. After all, the role of any artist is to help people see things the way they truly are. So this is a quote by an American architect called Samuel Mockbee, who initiated a new approach in architectural education and practice called rural studios, basically addressing the issues of the rural communities in Mississippi, the United States of America. So it's a very important quote to start with in this debate. So when we talk about identity, there are critical questions that always emerge in this debate. First of all, where are we going? Where do we belong? Who are we? Those are 3 critical questions always emerge in this debate regarding national identity or architectural identity. So identity literally means character, essence, existence attributed to humanity. And it's a process that you can't really fabricate. It's a process, national process that you can't really fabricate. Being a process, identity cannot be fabricated, and most importantly, we develop our own identities based on a critical understanding of our real problems. So that's how you forge, that's how you create or construct an identity. When it comes to architecture, and in this context of identity discourses, the debate of architecture and identity, architecture can be considered as a form of structures, clear structures, set of rules and properties. These structures frame some sort of social and cultural action. And this framing of social and cultural actions can be termed as agency. So architecture, in a context of identity debate, has two major components. The structures, the set of rules and properties. The second is that agency. It uses to frame any social and cultural actions or activities. With this being said, architectural identity, in an attempt to define it, can be that distinct character, essence, attributed to a built form. And it was a result of a set of interplay of set of rules, structures, properties, in a way that governs the assemblage of the vocabularies, architectural elements, features, principles into a kind of wholly distinctive structure or a built form. That's the definition of an architectural identity. Going to continuing in point number one, or the component number one of this discussion, architecture is like closely related to all the social, historical, cultural, political, economic features of any society. It's inseparable from those conditions, the societal and political or cultural conditions. And when we look at the space, which is a direct result of any architectural practice, the space, when we compare it to culture, they have a lot of similarities. And the main similarity here is the kind of that social construction. Both are a result of some social constructs and reflects the complexities of those any society and the associated conditions with its existence. The question of now, who identifies this architectural identity? To your surprise, it's not only the architect. So it's not only us who defines the architectural identity. There are many players in the process of identifying an architectural identity. One major player across the history of humanity is the ruling elite, the ruling power, the authority. The other important players in shaping or generating this identity is the elite. They are not the ruling power. They are not the monarch, not the leaders of any nation, but the elite. And this elite changes with the changes or shifts in the political structures or the power structures. So new leader with new elite. This new elite will continue to have access to resources, to the wealth, and as such, they have the privilege to patronage and finance projects, architectural projects and development. And thus, they really influential in shaping any urban center and at large any nation, the elite. And with this understanding that elites are not static, they are dynamic, they shift, they change with the change in the power structures. We tend to investigate something called elitist identity that changes with the change of power. The fourth, the third players in shaping any architectural identity comes from within the discipline itself, from within architecture. So within architecture, throughout history, and the same case with arts, there have been a lot of movements and epoch, milestones or great shifts within the profession itself, in the way they approach the theories for the profession. So architecture has experienced this great epoch and changes, notably the modernist movement. It was a movement within architecture arts, philosophy, and as well as postmodernism, which came after modernism, and both of them were preceded with Renaissance as a movement in all aspects of life in Europe by then. That has transcended not only philosophies, arts, history, painting, but architecture as well. So architecture, any changes that occurs in any socio-cultural structures or hierarchies affects architecture as well. And as a result, architecture, within architecture itself, there have been a dynamism, there have been a number of emergence of number of styles and models and theories of architecture. So each and every theory and style, new style of architecture has its own vocabulary, has its own theoretical framework, how architecture should be, how architecture should look like, how architecture should be approached. And as a result, each and every architectural style throughout the history will have its own distinctive identity. So what we are having now is a kind of a diverse identity even within architecture itself as a discipline. So there are a number of characteristics for architectural identity, mainly spatial organization, time organization, the design principles, shape and form. Yeah? But the most important characteristic of architectural identity is the semantic organization. And this leads us to the first semantic discourse that we want to tackle in a few minutes, which is viewing or approaching architecture as a semantic discipline. بالعربي يعني architecture being مجال معرفي له دلالات يعني تحمل مدلولات لغوية مدلولات. In a way, they are trying to use it to legitimize their authority. This is because the buildings or architecture carry collective memory. It can be displayed through those buildings, and collective memory is the foundation for any identity building or any attempts to construct an identity. Now we've tried to give you a lot of historical accounts and examples from other settings. This all leads us to the most important question of today that I know most of you are having the same question. Do we have an architectural identity as South Sudanese, or is it possible to forge one? So this component will be addressing this question on the possibility of an architectural identity, the South Sudanese question. So in attempting to discuss the possibility of an architectural identity in the context of South Sudanese strive towards building a nation, one will always be confronted with the following critical questions, which are rather problematic at some sense. The first question will be, do we have a distinct South Sudanese architectural identity or identities? If not, is that possible? Forging one, having one, is it possible? The second question would be, what are the conditions for producing such identity or identities? Is it an urgency? Do we need it now? Does our tukul, gutia, rakuba carry any cultural meanings and symbolism? Is it unique to us? The gutia, the tukul? Could it be a model for a modern architecture or not? But then the question of authenticity. Is it authentic to authentically South Sudanese? The fifth question will be, what will be the nature of this South Sudanese architectural identity? Should this identity be based on colonial legacies, what the colonizers left, or we ought to rediscover the pre-colonial roots, the pre-colonial architectural and cultural heritage and roots, our pre-colonial roots and history. Then use that one to construct a contemporary identity. So this, the last question, was actually a question that has been has derived all the architectural practices in post-colonial Africa. So Africans were the architects in Africa post-colonialism or post-independence were confronted with this were compelled to choose either way, either to just build on the colonizers' legacy and move forward, and with that we building on the notion of modernization. Let's modernize, start from where the colonizer has left, or and this has been been pushed by those of Kwame Nkrumah, been influenced actually by Kwame Nkrumah. So again, we see how political ideologies influencing the architectural discourse or architectural discipline. The other one was influenced by the ideals and principles and ideologies of those of Libyan, Songor, and West Africans, kind of school of Frankfurt, school of thought. So again, we see how architecture and politics are inseparable. Answering the above questions necessitate a thorough investigation and look into the current socio-political conditions and atmosphere. The period of 13 years since independence has been very complex, I know, politically, and has created some influence on architectural and built form. So 13 years, architecture has been influenced. And this influence can be identified as has resulted in kind of shortcomings in a lot of aspects. So and this influence of and this tendency, this kind of creative tendency, as a result of the unstable political conditions, has led to has taken many forms. So 4 of them. The first is prioritization of elitist economic gains over protection of cultural heritage and the collective memory of the people. So in this regard, there's this famous example of the historical Juba Hotel, which has been demolished in order to put on its place a mall or kind of a commercial building. So it's clear how the the economic gains outweighed the collective memory and its importance. The other one is Zabun al-Hajma al-public spaces, kind of the encroachment into the public spaces, the squares, the playground, and this we look at it as kind of this kind of perception of the civic space, the open space, as a threat. Threat to what? Because it doesn't only signify, encroaching into public spaces, squares, playgrounds, doesn't only signify kind of this prioritization of the economic gains, but again, some sort of kind of fear of the public engagements that will be simulated by having such public spaces and openings. So, the third.
Definitely the presentation was so detailed and so scientific. That's, I think, it indicates how silent we were, although it took very long. Now, what I'm going to say is that the commentators, let us shorten the comments so we give more time for the audience to interact with the paper of the South Sudanese Institute of Architects. أنا ما أعرف do we need to mix languages, because again it's one of the issues, but I'll call upon the first commentator, Zabun, yes, to come in as fast as possible. Then we give the last commentator, Daniel, some few minutes to comment, and then we go to the podium.
Salter. Thank you, Dr. Ajak Makur, for the opportunity. And I would also like to thank the administration of Dairy Cultural Festival for hosting us here today. It is a great and historic event, Dairy Cultural Festival, in honor of a great historian and encyclopedic of culture, and in my opinion is an icon of our identity. So thank you for having us here today. Also thank you the speaker, and I think this presentation or the lecture is intellectual breakthrough and a paradigm shift for so many of us here. Many of us are wondering what is architecture, what is architectural identity. So I'm not going to comment much because he has covered everything, but I hope that this lecture will change the narratives that we all have about architecture. I would like to talk also about who defines the architectural identity, the factors and sources. But before, I would like also to redefine what is architecture, what is identity, in a very simple way, so that when we come to participate in the discussion, we will have an idea. A national identity. A national identity is or refers to the sense of belonging and attachment to certain country, culture, and traditions. Identity is something that is not fixed. It is dynamic. It changes from time to time, from generation to generation. Also, architecture. Architecture is an amalgamation of people, place, and time. لما نتكلم عن العمارة، عمارة عبارة عن الناس، المكان، والزمان. الناس زي الناس منو؟ Who are the people? And the place. When we talk about the place, we talk about the environment, the climate, the natural heritage that we have. All these help in building the architecture and identity of certain people in a certain place. Another important question is it important? الكلام اللي نتكلم فيه عن الهوية ده، هل الهوية ده بيهمنا في شيء؟ Is it important for us? And why do we want it to appear in the architecture? A national identity is very essential and is one of the essential aspects of country cultural heritage. And architecture is an integral part or component of the cultural heritage. And another thing is, what are the challenges that we face as an architect to build a national identity? One of the most significant challenges is to balance the need of preserving this identity. We talk about the Juba Hotel that was demolished. This is one of the things that we, as the people, we work in order to preserve our identity, whether it is architectural or culture or values that is very important to us. And also the need of modernization. We talk about architecture as one of the aspects of architecture is time. And he talks about also how architecture emerged from time to time, the colonial time, the industrial revolution time, the modernism, the postmodernism, and all this. So these are the challenges that we face as architects. Another challenge is how to navigate the political landscape surrounding the architecture. He talks about the political ideology, the power or the regime or the ruling party. Okay? These are the people who influence, because they are the people in power, so they influence the decision of making architecture. He talks about the economical power, the elites. Also, these are the people who influence the decision of making architecture. So the role of an architect is to navigate all this balance, or to balance between the modernization and how to preserve and how to address the issue of the political surrounding the architecture. The sources or the strategies of shaping the architecture, because we were talking about how to shape the architecture, the role of the architects in shaping the architecture. We have so many strategies. One of them is the pragmatic design strategy. He mentioned it, but he did not talk about it much. But I would say it is to use the inherent features of the traditional architecture and strive to reproduce them as they were in the past. Another is an iconic design strategy. We use this also to reproduce the image of the traditional architecture by using elements and vocabularies to reproduce the building, but because identity, it evolves from time to time and from generation to generation. So we have the characteristics of identity, but still we are in the process of making our identity. Also, another question is that there a possibility of forming architecture identity in South Sudan? Yes, there is a possibility, but we have also to work hand in hand together, the political elites, the architecture, the community, because the community informed the design. So the community is supposed to be part of the process. To conclude, because the moderator said we should not go or dwell much on, we give a chance to the audience to participate. I would like to say that the real occupants of the building are not the users of the building, but are the people who view the aesthetic beauty of the building. So with this, it will answer the question of architecture is not just the responsibility of an architect or the government. It is our responsibility to portray our identity in everything in the built environment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Zabun, Mr. Zabun has actually confirmed it does not differ with the first presenter, and he cemented most of the opinion that has been thrown back to us. But the most important that we need to remember as we are getting prepared to encounter and discuss with the presenters is that we are part of the decision makers in forging our national identity in architecture. Because he said the governing elite, the elite themselves, and the architects within themselves. So without wasting more time, let me invite the last commentator, Mr. Daniel Lago, Marchello, and give you very few minutes, then we get involved with the podium. You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. It is a great honor to be here today in this third edition of the significant festival of the late great Derek Alfred. Just, I'm not going to comment because the previous comment already stated most of the points and the speaker already detailed the topic. What I'm going to do is, if I'm going to ask the moderator if you can allow me, I want to get engaged with the audience, if that is possible, because one of the issue they mentioned in the presentation is for the built environment to be formed, there is stakeholders. We, as the architects, we are one of these stakeholders, but there are many. There are the policy makers, there are the regulatory bodies or makers also, and then there is the public or the users of this built environment. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, for these stakeholders, especially the public, to get involved in the decision making of the creation of the national identity or architectural identity, they have to participate in it. And like they are not supposed to be out of this participation. So what I'm going to do is, this is just a random survey I'll be doing. Yeah?
You're allowed.
It's okay.
Minutes, yeah.
It's okay.
Thank you. So get ready. You are picked. You can participate.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to have like 3 main questions just to brainstorm you or to let you be prepared for if you have a certain question you're going to ask. You're going to ask this question based on these timelines or based on these concepts. The question number 1 is, you as a user of space or as a public stakeholder in the built environment, is it important, like I'm giving you a scenario, if you want to plan your design in your own house, is it important to have the South Sudanese architectural identity in your house, incorporated in your house? This is question number 1.
Are you going to pick the...
No, this is just a random. This is just a yes or no questions. If people who say yes, they can just raise their hand, because this is like kind of engagement with the audience.
Yeah, this for us, all of us, if you see it's right, say yes.
Is it important? Is it important for you to have the South Sudanese architectural identity incorporated in your house? Yes? Okay, and then no?
No.
I think no one. Okay, that's good. The question number 2 is, in your own view, is there currently elements of South Sudanese architectural identity in your neighborhood? Like, if you are, like what architect Samson said, the real users of the buildings are not the users inside or the occupants inside, but the people who are passing through these buildings. So in your own view, is there elements that you see in your residential neighborhood of South Sudanese architectural identity, at least just an element, not the whole architectural identity? If yes, you can raise your hand.